So, hello everybody. Welcome to Game 4 of the Grandmaster Deathmatch on chess.com. Shankland took that game down in good fashion. I thought it was pretty interesting the way he did that. There was some tactics with like a bishop was taken and then the queen was sacrificed, but the other queen was pinned, and so the queen was won, but there was a passed pawn that was on the 7th rank that couldn't be captured too easily. That was a good game. I liked it. So this game, Carol Collin was played again by Shankland. The queen is in the center, and the queens could be exchanged in this position. White has the bishop pair. Both players have 6 pawns, so I think the bishop pair is the advantage that White has in this position. And in an endgame, the bishop pair could be pretty good. But neither player deciding to take the queens, because if you take, the knight takes back, sort of develops your opponent's knight. Knights in the center are good. If you take, then the bishop takes, so sort of developing the bishop. So you sort of gain a tempo if the queens are exchanged. So both players deciding to leave the queens where they are. That's why he decides to attack the queen, seeing, okay, if you take, then I'll develop my bishop. The queens are exchanged. We'll see an endgame. I think that in the last game, Shankland sort of showed, it was sort of an exceptional game, but he showed that he is competent in endgames. He knows how to play them. So I do think that this is a good strategy by Shankland, trying to bring it to an endgame position. It looks like Hess could be a little bit stronger in the middle game. So F3 is played. So protecting the E4 square, defending, creating some light square weaknesses, but also getting the pawn off the dark square, or creating some dark square weaknesses. The knight comes down to control the C4 square, also control the key D5 square. Basically, the knights want to centralize themselves in order to... That's how the knight becomes as powerful as the bishop. A good knight is like as good as a bishop, but a bishop is generally a little bit better. So this knight does come to the center to E4, trying to threaten some stuff like, knight takes F6. So one pair of rooks is exchanged. Interesting decision. I think the other rook will take back to control the file. I'm pretty sure rook takes. So that was a little bit slow. We see Hess is playing a little bit slower in some cases, and they're playing like a bunch of rounds of 5-minute, a bunch of rounds of 3-minute, and then a bunch of rounds of 1 minute. And it's possible that Shankland has an edge in the 1 minute, because it looks like Hess is playing a little bit slower, but I think that Hess might adjust when he needs to. So the bishop pair in this position, I think, is really good. I think that Hess has kind of a significant well, no, he's got the 3 pawn islands. See, one pawn island, 2 pawn islands, 3 pawn islands. So the bishop pair is good, but 3 pawn islands is bad. So I think that White has a very slight advantage in this position. But the knight on b6 is pretty useless. Like, it's blocking the b pawn. I don't know. It's like it can't really move because then this pawn falls. So I do think that the knight is weak. I think that White has an advantage. It's just debatable about if it's a very small advantage or a large advantage. But he is down a minute. So we saw the opening was played rather quickly. And now both players have a lot of time for the remainder of the game. H3 is played, defending the bishop, also, preventing the rook from taking on H2. So now the rooks are going to be exchanged. We're going to see the power of the bishop pair. Go bishop pair. Bobby Fischer loved it. It's, I don't know, really... So the thing about the bishop pair, we should probably talk about this for a moment, is that the bishops, when you have both of them, you can control all the different color squares on the board. So, like, if your opponent, if you're attacking with the dark squared bishop, your opponent makes a bunch of light squared bishops, a bunch of light squared weaknesses, then your light squared bishop suddenly jumps into the action, exploits the light square weaknesses. So you want to use both the bishops. So this bishop is controlling the dark squares. He does want to trade off like the dark square bishops, or trade this knight for one of the bishops if he can. He also wants to centralize the knight, probably on this square. The reason why you want to put the knight here is because this is an isolated pawn, is what it's called, because it's not defended by any other pawns. And so you want to move your knight to blockade isolated pawns. Excuse me. That's something that Nimzovich spoke about. But the knight decides to come to c5 instead, attacking this pawn immediately. The bishop is forced to come to f3. The bishop is pretty weak on f3, so I do think that this is a positive turn of events for black. But black decides to retreat his knight anyway, even though it was holding down this bishop on this pretty weak square. The king is going to be coming to the center. We see that all of white's pawns are on light squares because of this dark bishop. White decided to move all of his pawns on light squares in order to, now this dark square bishop can't attack any of those pawns, which is good. So this dark square bishop, there's 3 pawns on dark squares. This is also doubled pawns, which is a little bit weak, but not too weak. Doubled pawns they're okay at defending, but they're just not very mobile. They can't turn into pass pawns very easily. Another check is played. An exchange is made. Exchanges favor the bishop pair. This is an interesting exchange. We traded the isolated pawn for the doubled pawn. But I think that exchanges are good for the bishop pair because the bishops, when there's less pawns on the board, they are more mobile. Like this bishop can, go to all these different squares. It could attack like almost any light square within one turn. So it can jump around very quickly. So we see the knight is trying to be annoying, getting in the center. We see a check and a check in response. The king moves over. Oh, the knight can't take here because this bishop will fall. He can't take here. So this is a good little tactic, I think, by Shankland. The king is very central. I suddenly think that Shankland could have a good position in here. This king is very central and interesting. So g4 is played immediately. The king retreats. I don't like retreating with my king in a position like this with, I don't know, just kings. But he wants to be able to take back with the king if the pawns are exchanged. This bishop comes to an interesting corner square where it has something mischievous in mind, I'm pretty sure. Maybe coming back to this square. Game drawn by agreement. So game 4 is a draw.
A game of chess is like a sword fight.